All right, everybody, welcome back. Episode 2, the Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast. It's Wednesday, December 15th. What's up, guys? Adam, TJ, what's cracking?
Cracking.
Great to be here. Fantastic Tuesday in the NBA.
Except it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm saying last night was a fantastic Tuesday.
Last night was an awesome Tuesday.
Yeah.
Last night was an awesome Tuesday because Steph Curry did something really, really cool. I mean, it's obviously a compilation. It's a testament to his greatness that he broke the all-time three-pointers made record. And I thought it was pretty cool that he did it at Madison Square Garden. If you can't do it on your home court, what cooler, better place to do it than at the Mecca? Adam, we'll start with you. What was your first blush thoughts seeing Steph last night?
Yeah, 100% agree that doing it at the Mecca was, besides maybe Golden State and his hometown of Charlotte, I think it was absolutely the best place to do it. The Knicks crowd really appreciated Steph, and that's what I like about New York basketball fans is they appreciate greatness, and they were rooting for him to actively score against their own team just because they wanted to see history. And I love the ovation after the shot. First of all, I thought the shot itself was perfect. It was such a quick release. It was high arcing, a catch and shoot shot, and it was just a perfect situation what happened with that. It was beautiful to watch. Steph has so much joy when he plays, and I just loved everything about it.
Yeah, TJ, kind of the same thoughts there. It was like the quintessential. I mean, the only thing I guess would have been cooler is like a fast break pull up from 26 or something. Yeah, like from the logo or from the timeline. But I think, Adam, you hit on something really good there. Like, the New York crowd knows basketball so well, and it's one of the top basketball cities with Chicago and Philadelphia and maybe Los Angeles and Boston too a little bit in that respect. Like their knowledge of the game, their appreciation, TJ, for seeing greatness, and that's what we saw last night from Steph. It's what we've seen his whole career.
You know, I feel like I've been there from the beginning of Steph's NBA journey. June 25th, 2009. Two things happened on that day. One, it was the day that Michael Jackson died.
Oh, that's right.
Two was the day of the NBA draft, and I was in the building. I was in Madison Square Garden. I was in New York. I was there to watch Blake Griffin get drafted by the Clippers. And I was there. I saw Steph get drafted. And, you know, I can remember thinking, what is Minnesota doing right now?
Oh, my God.
You got 2 point guards, and you're not picking this guy? And then everyone kind of assumed that the Knicks were going to get him. I think going into the draft, that was the thought that he was going to get.
The hope, I think, for Knicks fans, obviously.
And Golden State was like, not so fast. And they snatched him, and the rest is history, man. I don't think that, like, the record needed to fall for him to have that crown. He already had that crown. He already had the crown as best shooter ever.
For sure.
It's just kind of solidified it, but in my mind, it was already solidified.
I think what made it so perfect, too, that it happened in New York, well, a couple of thoughts here. Steph was really pushing. You can see he's really struggled shooting maybe the last, 10 days or so. You see some of these games. He openly talked about, maybe I'll hit 16 in one night and set the record, against whoever. But you could see that it was kind of weighing on him. He was almost putting too much pressure on himself to kind of get this thing broken and move on. But the fact that it happened in New York when, like you said, in 2009, that
he walked on that stage.
There was also the Knicks fans had so much hope that he was going to be the one to change the direction of the Knicks and bring them back to greatness and see his number in the rafters and brought all the titles that he was going to bring these New York basketball fans. And the fact that he did it with the team that drafted him one spot ahead of New York on their home court, but yet they were still able to appreciate the moment. Did you see the picture that was going around last night of Spike Lee,
laying on the ground?
Yeah, in his bright orange outfit, sitting on his ass, taking pictures of Steph Curry.
So cool. And there was another picture.
That's crazy to me.
There was another picture where it showed Steph Curry blowing a kiss, and I think it was towards his dad, Dell. You see Pete Davidson in the background.
Of course.
By the way, Pete Davidson is trolling America. It's like, he's with Kim Kardashian. Now he's in this picture of Steph Curry. That guy's everywhere. But that's besides the point.
Trolling everyone, or is he maybe low-key the coolest guy ever?
I think he might be the coolest guy ever.
I don't know. Keep going.
But yeah, the whole situation was just fantastic. The interesting thing I think about Steph is that even though he was drafted in the top 10, in the early part of his career, there were a lot of concerns with his ankles. Yeah. People were scared that he was going to become a bust just based on the injuries, and he was able to get over that and eventually become the greatest shooter of all time. So it's been wonderful watching him from the start of his career.
Yeah, I think that's a great point with his career arc. I mean, TJ, I wonder if maybe why he, quote unquote, I mean, I guess we're playing the results here, but slipped in the draft is because, I mean, what was he, $140 back then, $150? I mean, he made Allen Iverson look like an offensive lineman. Like, you know, he was in that
He was probably like $170.
Yeah, 6'2" range, but he was so skinny, like not the muscle tone that he's got now. And
also, he didn't go to a big school. Like
Wasn't
we said,
right, yeah.
we said on the show today, how did he end up in Davidson of all places?
Right.
You know?
He wasn't. He was not highly recruited out of high school. I think he might have been like a 3-star recruit.
Yeah, not highly touted, despite the lineage that he had with his father, being a great shooter. But he had those moments. He had those NCAA tournament moments that we all remember. And usually that's kind of enough to get some guys hype draft. Remember Dante Jones back in the day had a great NCAA tournament.
I think that's what got him into the top 10, to be honest with you, were those draft moments. Because normally like, a kid from Davidson at 6'2", 170 is not going to go in the top 10 of a draft without doing what he did in the tournament.
But when you're the son of an NBA player, that certainly helps a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
But like Adam, like you said, in the beginning, there was that question of, man, was 7 a reach? Like, was this guy ever going to actually pan out? And then, obviously, he's turned into the greatest shooter of all time. And that brings us to our next point, guys. Who are the greatest shooters of all time? Like, let's talk about this for a second. Obviously, Steph is one. And then let's go from there. Let's fill out the rest of our top 5. Adam, we'll start with you. Who's 2 through 5?
Okay, you want me to do 2 through 5, starting with 2 first?
Let's start with 5 and work your way up to 2, because I think we all assume Steph is number 1, right?
I think we could do a list and just leave him off of it.
You want to do the top 5?
Because we already know who's number 1.
And we know Steph is he's not even a number 1. He's just like A++.
It's like you already know who the 1 is. These are the guys underneath Steph Curry. Like everyone's got him at number 1. That's no surprise. We're not going to like, ooh, you got me with your first pick. Like, number 1 is Steph.
I'm good with that. Okay, Adam, let's go. What does your list look like here, top 5?
Okay, so I want to start with a bonus guy who.
So you're TJ. You're pulling a TJ right now.
Don't try to steal my thunder.
TJ's lane.
I had to put this guy in here, and you're going to hear why.
Okay.
For my bonus guy, I have the coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr.
Oh, all right.
Steve Kerr, the most accurate three-point shooter still to this day in NBA history. He was incredibly clutch for the Bulls. He hit that big shot in 1997. And he's been the coach of the greatest shooter of all time in Steph Curry. And I think the way he's been a coach has absolutely helped Steph become the best shooter of all time. So I have to put Steve Kerr in there as a bonus. So number 5, I have your guy, Brockman, Larry Legend.
Number 5.
Larry Bird.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Larry Bird played in the 80s and 90s when people did not take as many three-point shots. I think if Larry Bird played in this era, he would compete possibly with Steph for having the most three-pointers of all time. He was just in a different era, but that guy was automatic, three-point and mid-range jump shots. And his three-point shootout in 1988 alone, where he said, who's coming in second, the bravado alone makes him...
The audacity, TJ.
So I have Larry Bird at number 5.
Okay.
He was just in the wrong era. Number 4, I have a guy who I hated but respected when he played my Bulls. I have Reggie Miller from the Pacers. Reggie Miller, one of the most clutch players of all time, consistently showing up big in the playoffs against the Knicks, against the Bulls. This guy did it all. He didn't win a championship, but he was always coming in for huge, huge shots. I remember against the Bulls in 1998, Game 6, where he pushed off Jordan. He still hit that shot. That still bothers me to this day.
Definite push off. And then, side note, the way he celebrated like a crazy person after that. And actually, the coolest part about that is Larry Bird just standing there on the sideline, because he was the Pacers coach at the time, just totally stone-faced, like, yeah, of course, you have to expect to make it. Why are you running around like a maniac?
Yeah, he was completely stoic. But I loved watching Reggie play, even though I hated him at the same time, because he was a big game guy. So I have Reggie Miller, number 4. Number 3, I have the guy who I think has the most beautiful jump shot I've ever seen in Ray Allen. Jesus Shuttlesworth from He Got Game. Ray Allen, just picture perfect form, so consistent over the years, playing for the Sonics and the Bucks, and then he had that run with the Heat where he hit that huge three in Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Finals.
Crazy shot.
Which I think everybody at the end of that game thought the Spurs were winning the championship.
I mean, they were literally seconds away, and somehow Tim Duncan's not on the court to grab an offensive rebound, and it just gets tapped right out to Ray. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, so Ray, the previous 3-point record holder. So I have him at number 3. Number 2, Steph's teammate, injured right now. I think he's going to come back soon. Klay Thompson. I mean, I have some notes here for Klay. He has a record 14 3-pointers in one game. He has 11 3-pointers in an elimination game in the playoffs. And he hit 9 threes in one quarter. 9 threes in one quarter. I think it was that 37-point quarter he had that one game. He, to me, is the most fun to watch when he's hot. He in the zone, I think he's even more deadly than Steph. So I have Klay as my number 2 guy. And it's incredible to know that the Golden State Warriors, to me, have the 2 best shooters ever to play the game of the basketball on the same team.
Best shooting teammates ever?
By far.
Yeah.
So that's my list.
Yeah, it's a great list. It's a great list. TJ, what's your list?
All right, I'm TJ, so I do things my own way.
That means we're going to have, 12 guys?
We're not going to have 12. We're going to have more than 5. And also, I don't look at things the same way as, obviously, since we've been doing this show and since you've known me. I tend to look at things, if everyone else is going left, I will always go right just to kind of see what the view is over here.
Sure.
So coming in at number 5, this is probably going to shock you. But at number 5, I'm going to put a man on my list who, I think we're getting caught up in the 3-point shot, right? That just because you're hitting threes, before the threes were really a big thing, you still had to be able to put the ball in the hole, right? Mm-hmm. So you had to be able to shoot. This man had the most unstoppable shot, the most unstoppable weapon in any sport: football, basketball, baseball, pro wrestling, hockey. I'm putting Kareem
you're really going to put Kareem on here?
Jabbar in at number 5 as my 5th best shooter ever, because the skyhook was unstoppable. He's the leading scorer in the history of the NBA. No one could stop it. And you know what? Find me a better shot, like a more money shot than that skyhook. That's just in my opinion. So because I like to look at things differently and do things differently, I'm putting Kareem in at number 5. At number 4, I'm going to go with Dirk Nowitzki at number 4.
Oh, I like that.
The fadeaway off 1 foot, balls way over his head. It was unstoppable. And you know what? It was just a beautiful thing to watch. Dirk was an assassin out there. At number 3, I really was going to continue with my train of thought. I was going to put Michael Jordan in at number 3.
Well, I thought you were going to put like Mark Eaton or something.
No, not Mark Eaton, but the mid-range game, man. It's what for so many years this league was built upon, and Michael Jordan ate at the mid-range jumper, and quite frankly, all his jumpers that you can remember all meant something. They're winning championships. They're winning conference finals. They're winning big games. But I didn't put Mike in there. Instead I put Klay Thompson in there. Okay. Just because Klay is a marksman. Yeah. And, obviously he's the only guy in the league maybe that you can compare to Steph.
That's the funny thing about Mike. Obviously one of his great playoff moments is the shrug performance.
Yeah,
the
6 threes. And that was a huge thing.
And that was a huge thing because of Mike shooting threes. Oh, my God, I didn't know he could do it.
All right, here's another deal with that day. I was doing laundry that day. Right?
I remember that day specifically.
I had just gotten to college. I was about 3 blocks away at the laundromat. So my thought was, all right, I'll miss the first half. I'll hurry up with this laundry because I love the second half of basketball games. So I'm like, let me hurry up, do this now. I'll miss 2 quarters. I'll get back home. My roommate comes running to the laundromat. He's like, bro, Jordan just hit 6 threes. I was like, no, he did not. He's like, bro, he just hit 6 threes. And I was like, what? So I'm hurrying up to get home to watch the second half of that game. Yeah, it was just like you didn't think that Mike had it in him.
My story from that day, I had a Little League game that day. TJ, you're old. I had a Little League game that day, and my dad was showing up late because he had to work, and he was like, I'm like, hey, yo, did you just, and he's like, yo, did you just hear? Like, Michael Jordan had this crazy first half with all these 3-pointers. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Because I had recorded the game to VCR, set it up, go home, and I was going to watch it later. And I just, couldn't believe that, like you said, that he had this in him. Yeah. Because he wasn't a 3-point shooter.
Because he wasn't a 3-point shooter. Yeah. All right, coming at number 2, I got the guy who just angered me my entire childhood. Just the sight of green now even makes me want to just throw something at somebody. As a Sixer fan growing up, you hated the Celtics. Therefore, I hated Larry Bird. Larry Bird, he was a killer. Let's just say that. And another guy who every shot was big, every shot meant something, whether it was using his left hand, his right hand, two hands. He probably would have been able to headbutt a ball into the hoop from the three-point lane had he so desired. That just Larry Bird could shoot the rock, man. And it was a beautiful thing to watch, except when he was killing your team, which was my team and not your team, Brockman. Yep. But I put Larry at 2 and at number 1 because I'm like this. I'm putting Ray and Reggie in my number 1, but really number 2. But for this purpose, we'll make them number 1 because those two guys were it was beautiful to watch those guys shoot the basketball. And also a little annoying because we've all shot basketballs before, every one of us.
Oh, I mean, I should be on this list.
We can't shoot like that, and it bothers me.
Reggie had the weird thing where he put his two wrists together when he shot.
Yeah, Reggie had
a weird motion.
Yeah.
You would not take an 8-year-old kid learning how to play ball and say, all right, watch this Reggie Miller highlight and learn how your form should be, because his form was not textbook. But
well, TJ, let me ask you a question. If you had your life on the line, one shot, who would you rather have shoot it, Ray Allen or Reggie Miller? Life on the line.
Oh, I like asking this question with Clay or Steph.
I would go, can I say Larry Bird?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Because I would take Larry Bird.
I think I would take Ray. And if it's Ray versus Reggie, I take Ray. If it's Clay versus Steph, I think I take Clay.
Let me ask you this, Adam. Where's this game happening?
Oh, is it like outdoors? Is it like White Man
Is it
Can't
at
Jump?
Madison Square Garden? Because if it's at the Garden, I'm taking Reggie Miller.
Oh,
It's in Coney Island.
Oh, that's still New York, but Jesus, Shuttlesworth.
Exactly.
You know what? I would take Reggie Miller.
Venice Beach Courts, Sidney Dean, Billy Hoyle, life on the line.
Oh, Billy. Without question. You're not taking Sidney.
It's Billy. Sydney, really?
No, I don't know. I would take Billy Hoyle.
Sidney would take you to the rack all day,
Yeah.
but if you would need a jumper hit, that's Billy Ho right there.
Billy Hill. Funny thing about Larry Bird, he led the league in three-pointers made in 85 and 86. You want to guess how many he made that year?
90.
100.
He made 90 in 86, 82 in 85. Both led the league.
Wow.
I'm going to give another shout out to Craig Hodges, who
Craig Hodges.
another great
Oh, yeah.
shooter, man, who will never make any of these lists for whatever reason. But Craig Hodges was, not a big star in the NBA, but my man could shoot the rock.
I do want to point something out about Steph real quick. He is, to me, the only player where it is a must to go watch him play pregame, to watch his warm-ups.
Oh, right.
There's never been anybody like him. Like 2 years ago, I went to a Warriors-Clippers game, and just watching him shoot all those shots from half court, just make him easily. Like, it's amazing to watch him even before the game. And that's
It's annoying,
incredible.
Adam, is what it is. Because like I said, I spent many, many hours shooting the basketball. I can't shoot like Steph.
You know what's funny is when you're at a game and you're able to see warm-ups. So in 2008, when the Celtics won the championship, I went to a bunch of games that year, and I'd go.
So you're not the mush.
I'm not the mush.
Okay.
Despite popular opinion on the Rich Eisen Show. And Brian Scalabrine was on that team. Didn't play a lot. 12th guy, but he's in the NBA. And I would specifically watch Scal in warm-ups. Never missed a shot.
Oh.
I've never seen him miss in warm-ups. And you just think about a guy like Steph Curry. That's how good NBA players are. Where the 12th guy on the bench who might play a handful of minutes will never miss a shot in warm-ups. And it's just so
And
crazy.
can't get on the court.
And can't get on the court.
Yeah.
Went to USC, went to a big-time school, is 6'9", is athletic, can shoot the rock, won't play. And that's how good these NBA players are. Let me just give you my list really quick.
Please do.
Not really in any particular order, but when you look at Steph being number 1, I love the Ray Allen, Reggie Miller just kind of combo. Played in the same era, both extremely deadly, big postseason clutch shots, life on the line. I think you would pick those guys. Also phenomenal free throw shooters. I know they're among the top percentage-wise in NBA history. TJ, I love that you went off the board with Kareem. I'm going to go off the board with Pistol Pete.
Okay.
Ooh.
Talk about a guy could have played in any era.
Yep.
Averaged 40 a game in college with no three-point line.
No three-point line.
It didn't really translate to the NBA. He had a lot of injuries.
Injuries, yeah.
And he played in kind of crappy locations, Atlanta and New Orleans. But
he was a star, though.
Pistol was a star, and he's kind of the first dynamic, real kind of playmaker, changed the game. Klay Thompson, I love on the list. Like I said, Steph or Klay for my life. I think I pick Klay. It depends what day it is, but Klay Thompson, absolutely deadly. And if Steph Curry didn't exist, we'd be talking about Klay Thompson as the greatest shooter of all time. Like, I think he's that high on the list. And lastly, got to take the legend. I got to take Larry Bird. If Larry Bird played in today's game, we would be talking about him as maybe the greatest player of all time. We would have that conversation with just the way he played in the era, like Luka-ish, like the way he plays, not the most athletic-looking guy, not the most physically imposing, but a shot maker, a playmaker, a guy that could do it all. And
handles
I think
the
that
ball, high IQ.
Basketball savant.
Basketball savant, like maybe one of the most intelligent players to play of all time. I think that's what kind of separates LeBron from a lot of these guys, is like the intelligence at which he plays the game. And I think Larry Bird was that guy, and obviously Steph Curry's kind of the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah, shout out to Steph Curry, man. He changed the game. That's
no doubt. But just quickly before we move on to our next topic, we're going to talk most surprise teams in the league from each of us. Steph, we kind of mentioned on the Rich Eisen Show earlier on Wednesday. Where does he rank all time for you, point guards? Is he 1? Is he 2? 1A? Like, for me, I was talking with our guy Smitch about kind of John Stockton. I think he's up. Like, what is your list of the all-time point guards? We don't have to break that down, but I'm just wondering where you have Steph. 2, 3, 1. You can make an argument for any of those spots, I think.
Right now, I have Steph at number 2. He still has a good 5 or 6 years left, so who knows what will happen in the future. But right now, I have him as number 2. I have Magic as number 1.
And I think that's totally fair, TJ, to have Magic number 1, right? Magic has the regular season MVP awards, obviously the 5 rings, and he has some finals MVPs, which I think for me, when I look at this, before I put Steph at number 1 all time, I want to see the Warriors win a championship, and I want Steph to be the best player on the court in that championship run, which he hasn't been yet.
Well, even though he was in 15 when they won the first one, he didn't get the MVP. Iguodala got it. Steph was the best player on that team.
Okay, that's fair.
He just didn't get the MVP.
Kevin Durant won it the last 2 years.
And that was, understandable too. Yeah. So, But I think we were all shocked that Iguodala gets MVP and this tells you how great LeBron is.
Yeah, right.
He held him to 35, 38 a game, points per game.
Stupid.
And because of that, you win MVP. Like, people need to get off this LeBron hate, man. I know that I'm going to veer off. I don't want to veer off. I'll get back on the road. That'd be something for later, but get off the LeBron hate. As far as top point guards.
Just specifically, like, where it's, you don't have to give me your list, obviously.
I mean, he's
like,
top,
where is Steph
he's top
for you?
5, and it's just like, I tend to think of Steph more as a shooting guard, even though he plays the point, because I think he's only averaged over 7 dimes, I think, once in his entire career. But to me, when you talk about guys who changed the game, Irvin Johnson changed the game for a solid 30 years. No one had ever seen a 6'9" man with handles who could run the floor like he did, who could run an offense like he did. So Magic was he was special, man. So he's always, it's going to take a lot for me to take Magic Johnson off my number 1 point guard spot.
Yeah, Steph 8.5 dimes in 2014, 7.7 and 15. Those are his 2 highest marks. 6.5 for his career, which is good. But you'd think of Steph as a shooter first.
Because when you're your team's best offensive option, it's like you're going to pass the ball to. I might as well keep it myself.
Yeah. All right, let's talk real quick about surprise teams in the league this year, because we're 30 games in, just about. And there are a few that have really stuck out. Adam, I know you want to talk about Cleveland. Tell us about the Cavaliers.
Okay, so the Cleveland Cavaliers right now are 17-12. They've won 8 of their last 10. This team has a really good young core, starting with Darius Garland. This guy is 21 years old. He's averaging 18 points and 7 assists a game. Colin Sexton got injured. He's out for the year. I think this is showing that this is Darius Garland's team to run now. They'll probably trade Colin Sexton after this. This guy's been killing it. They have Jared Allen, who's averaging 17 points, 11 rebounds. Great pickup from the Nets. He's still young. I think he's 23 years old. So they have him. And then they have arguably the rookie of the year in Evan Mobley, who is a fantastic defensive player. He can rebound. He has high IQ. That was a great pick from the Cavs. They have a really good young core. What I like also about them is that you still have the veteran leadership with Kevin Love. He's the last remaining guy in that team, I think, from the 2016 championship team. And right now he's averaging 11 and 7 off the bench in 20 minutes a game. He's obviously not the player he used to be, but he's still able to contribute and provide leadership. And also talk about a transformation for Kevin Love over his career. He went from like a rough around the edges, kind of like fat, lumbering, like Minnesota player to like a hot, like cool dude with a good haircut who can shoot threes, who's dating a supermodel.
A supermodel, yeah.
He's dating a supermodel, and he has his own clothing line with Banana Republic. Like, come on, that guy's a legend. What a transformation. But I like the Cavs a lot. And obviously you have Ricky Rubio on their team as well, who's a solid player. And so, this team, I could easily see them making like the 7th or 8th seed and at least getting some good experience in the playoffs this year. So they're a fun, young, exciting team to watch.
Yeah, it's so crazy how a lot of people were questioning Evan Mobley coming into the draft almost. Too tall, too skinny. Well, what is he going to do in the NBA? And he has just been dynamite. Like, arguably the rookie of the year in the NBA right now. 13 and 8, having such a good season. I haven't been fantasy. That's why I know all this. I had Colin Sexton, too, which is kind of a bummer. But, yeah, Garland has just been unbelievable. Yeah, Cavs, so surprising. People are making a lot of jokes that, like, this Cavs team is going to be able to finally go over the top and win a title once LeBron joins them and via trade.
Him and Bronny together. One more championship season for the Cavs.
Could you imagine? By the way, funny note about Kevin Love. I met him the exact same day I met Del Tufo for the first time.
What?
Wow.
So I met Del Tufo.
You met Del Tufo in Santa Monica outside of a bar, right?
I met Del Tufo outside of the Santa Monica parlor that used to be at shut down. There's only one now in Hollywood. Game 7 of the 2010 NBA Finals, Celtics-Lakers. I watched it at a bar with Del Tufo. The line was around the block, and he was already inside, and he got me and 2 other guys from NFL Network inside. But while we were waiting outside, Kevin Love pulled up to the valet and parked his Range Rover.
And did Kevin get in?
I don't remember. I actually think he was leaving, now that I think about it. I think Kevin Love was leaving, getting his car from valet while we were waiting, and then Del Tufo came and got us inside.
Mr. Big Shot, Mike Del Tufo?
Now, I just remembered this. That is crazy. Kevin Love, Hall of Famer?
Basketball Hall of Fame is a little bit more lenient than, like, the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's got 1 ring or 2 rings.
No, 1.
1 ring.
Got 1 Cavs ring.
Is he still 20 and 10? Because if he's still 20 and 10 for his career, he's going to have an argument.
For his career, he's 18 and 11.
18 and 11. Okay.
By the way, he had some really good years.
He had some very good
20
years.
and 15 when he was 22 years old for Minnesota.
He was a rebounding machine.
Then went 26 and 13 the next year. Had a little down year, 18 and 14. Then went 26 and 13 the year before he got traded to Cleveland. I mean, you could see why LeBron wanted him on the Cavs.
And he had to take a back step to Kyrie and LeBron. I think his stats would have been even better if he was on a worse team.
Yeah, I mean, he could have kept, accumulating stats with a bad Wolves team.
Yeah.
But, he kind of did the Chris Bosh thing. He got to Cleveland, kind of took a back seat, and concentrated on things other than just scoring. So,
and he was a guy I always wanted in Boston. He would have been such a great Celtic. He would have been beloved by the fans forever. Probably would have got his jersey retired. TJ, who's your most surprising team this year?
I don't know if they're my most surprising, but I'm a little, in a good way, surprised by the Phoenix Suns. Because, the Suns did their thing in the bubble, right? They didn't make the playoffs, but they went on that 8-game tear that was just like, Devin Booker
they
is
went
now,
undefeated in the bubble, right?
And they didn't make the playoffs, but they crushed in that 8-game little bubble. I think it was 8 games. And so then, they come back last year and they go to the NBA Finals. But I think there's still a lot of questions about the Suns. They don't want to commit to their big man. They don't want to commit to the center. It's like, all right, Chris Paul, you did it last year, but you're 36. Like, are you really going to be able to keep up this high level of play? And you know what? The Suns are 22-5, I think. They're basically have been in first the entire season, went on an 18-game winning streak after a bunch of stuff came out about their ownership that could have, made the team crumble, and it did the exact opposite. I'm pretty impressed, by the way, that they're riding that momentum, because I don't think a lot of people after the championship last year would have said, all right, I can see the Suns, or I do see the Suns making a return to, the Western Conference Finals or the NBA Finals, and yet they're putting themselves in a position to make a return. So I think I'm pleasantly surprised by the Phoenix Suns and their high level of play.
Yeah, TJ, I was going to go the same direction with mine, but talking about the Warriors. I know on the main show, Rich talked about them and picked them to win the championship.
That was his pick.
And we all just kind of looked at each other like, whoa, really? Like, you really think they're going to bounce back like that with no Clay, Wiseman out, Draymond's old, like Steph coming off an injury? Like, what is really going to happen? Nope. Same old Warriors, man. Just 23-5, best record in the NBA, like just mowing teams down. Steph looks like kind of like a rejuvenated sense of self. Now he's got this record out of the way, so we can kind of refocus on the season. Wiseman is coming back at some point. Clay is coming back at some point. Then what is this team going to look like? Is this a 60-win team? Could they win 65 games? Like, it sure looks like it.
They're on pace.
And it looks like it's just them and Phoenix in the West, and whoever comes out is going to battle against Brooklyn, Chicago, Milwaukee, one of those teams in the East.
How awesome would that be to see
for the NBA championship?
To see KD and Steph in the finals against each other?
I honestly think
it could happen.
Of all things, like we're talking about this in the NFL right now, right? Like, what if it's Bucks Patriots? Yeah. What if that's the Super Bowl? Tom Brady against Bill Belichick, the ultimate decider, once and for all. Who was the of the dynasty? TJ,
I don't ever do this. I'm raising my hand to interrupt you. I have to apologize for something.
What?
How I left Kevin Durant off my all-time
shooters?
I think it was just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, we know Durant's up there. It was like another Steph Curry thing. I apologize right now. I don't know why.
You're apologizing to KD?
I'm apologizing.
Sniper?
Kevin Durant's up there with Steph Curry, all right? You know he's great. I don't have to put him on my mock list. But, yeah, Kevin Durant, obviously, he might be a guy who, if my life's on the line and I got to play Russian roulette with a basketball, I'm going to change everything I said. I want KD taking the shot to save my life.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that man is nice. That man is so nice.
Only 38% career from three.
Well, did we say it was a three, or did we say it was a shot?
I know, but I'm just, just pointing out that that's his career percentage.
But all you remember is the big shots that he's hit, and he's hit so many.
And he took over the Olympics this year. He was clearly the best player on the team.
I'm just going to make sure he doesn't wear a size.
The reason why we won the gold medal.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure he doesn't wear a size bigger of a shoe, which is reportedly what he does. That way, those big 18s will stay behind the three-point line. But yeah, I just had to jump in there and apologize for leaving.
Yeah,
KD
you know what?
My bad.
I'm not gonna hate on you.
My bad.
So back to what I was saying.
Yeah. That's why I raised my hand.
NFL, all we've been talking about the last couple weeks is what if it's Bucks Pats, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's Warriors Nets? I didn't even think about that. KD against Steph. They're battling out. They're the MVP favorites right now. You could, depending what day it is, you can convince me that it's KD. I mean, he's been on a Rich Kleiman
just had his first 50.
Yeah, Rich Kleiman tweeted it out. He had 50 the other night, then followed it up with half the team on COVID, has a triple-double, and they had a comeback win. Oh, my gosh. Adam, why didn't we think it? It's great. It's great. It's great. This is what I'm rooting for now. This is what I'm rooting for. Warriors Nets. That's what I want.
And then what if Kyrie is able to come back eventually? That makes it even more interesting.
And Clay's back, and he looks like Clay, dropping 8 threes in 4 minutes with 3 dribbles. I'm down. This is what I want now. This is what I want. But I think coming into the season, back to my point is, did we think this was happening for the Warriors? No. All we talked about all offseason was Lakers. Can the Suns do it again? They got Chris Paul back. They didn't re-sign Ayton, but it's going to work itself out. Obviously, Booker is making his case to be one of those top-tier guys. And then in the East, it was just like, cool, Milwaukee, Miami, and Brooklyn, and then it's kind of everybody else because the Sixers can't figure out this Ben Simmons situation, and so that's going to kind of bog them down. And we didn't anticipate Embiid kind of getting hurt, and then the COVID thing kind of really screwed him up, and Boston is kind of a disaster. So the Warriors able to do what they do, stay the course, surprise some teams, They ended Phoenix's huge winning streak. They're the biggest surprise for me because I think we thought they'd be a playoff team, but maybe that 6 seed, 5 seed kind of avoid the play-in tourney. But they're the 1 seed, and they look like the favorite for the NBA titles right now.
And last year, they didn't make the playoffs last year, did they?
Well, they had a play-in game.
They were in the play-in game and lost.
And lost
to the
yeah.
Lakers, right?
And then the year before,
Yeah.
obviously Steph was out, and that's how they got Wiseman.
So they have guys off the bench like Kuminga, who's coming up.
And Jordan
loaded.
Poole has just been incredible, like filling the clay role. And when
killing it.
he's going to go back to this bench and be the 6th guy leading
Remember
that
I called
second
that
unit. Yeah, you called it. And he's going to be phenomenal. I just think Golden State, yeah, it's easy to just pick the team in first place and go, oh, I didn't see that coming. But, like, all due respect to the Wizards and the Cavs and some of these teams, like Chicago has been awesome this year. But, man, the Warriors are like, hey, don't forget about us.
Yeah.
Like, we're still here. Like, we can still be a dynasty and win a title. Mad respect to Steve Kerr, their coaching staff, and especially Steph Curry. It's been unbelievable. All right, guys, before we wrap this up, because we wanted to keep this on the shortish side, let's just talk about Kerr real quick. We can talk about Zion maybe next week. He's fat. He's skinny. He's like the Oprah of NBA right now. He's had a setback, which is such a freaking bummer because I know we love watching Zion play so
It's a freak of
much.
nature,
He's
man.
awesome.
He was really coming out last year, 26 points a game. Like, he was really starting to take over. And you're like, man, can this guy do it? And now it's like, man, should the Pelicans have taken Ja? Like, you know, and it's like, I hate having those conversations. So let's just kind of table it to next week. But want to end on something fun. We're all caught up on Curb. We're such huge Curb fans. But is there something missing from this season? Like, what is it, Adam?
Okay, so Curb is, to me, probably my favorite show of all time. And so I say this with all the respect in the world to Larry David and Jeff Garland and Jeff Schaefer. These guys are legends. But to me, the show this year seems like it's watching Michael Jordan play on the Wizards.
Oh, no.
Where the show is still good, still all-star level.
It still has the moments?
Yeah, it still has the moments.
Still has Mike going 50 in the garden?
Exactly. Still played 82 games his first year with the Wizards, I think. It's still a thing that you want to watch and that you enjoy. But it's just missing something. Yeah. And to me, the problem with the show now is that it's kind of jumped the shark a little. And by that,
in what way? What do you mean?
By that I mean the things I love about Curb is that the humor is just so most of the time realistic, and it's
natural, like the situations are just like plausible.
Yeah, it's to the ground. And the problem this year is you've had situations where it just would never ever happen in real life.
So spoiler alert if you haven't watched or caught up on Curb yet.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go.
That's our warning.
And I will say, like I said before, I have enjoyed watching it. Have I enjoyed it as much as the previous seasons? Absolutely not. But the first jumping of the shark to me.
Wait, you took a list? You have a top 5?
I have a list. And
top 5 jump shark moments this year? No.
I have where it started. So for me, it started in episode 4 with the whole Klansman thing, where Larry bumps into the Klansman and
spills coffee on him.
Yeah, and while it is funny, it just took me out of the episode because it's just not realistic at all. And then they go to the farm. I was just like, oh man, like this is just like come on.
Okay.
Like what are we doing here? And then the next episode with it's a funny moment where they go to the sushi spot. But the whole thing where like the manager refused to give him back his umbrella, I was just like come on, like we're really grasping for straws.
Well, it's because
here.
it never rains in LA, right? That's why.
No, it was because he thought the umbrella was stolen from a hotel,
which Larry admitted to, though.
Yeah, but the fact that he wouldn't give it back, it was just like, come on, like what are we doing here? And then the last jump the shark moment to me was episode 6 when the roofer at Larry's house falls through the roof on Larry's bed as Larry's on the bed, which is funny. It's a funny thing. It's a funny moment. It's a funny visual, but it just it takes me out of what I loved the most about Curb, which is grounded humor.
Using his phone charger, right? And then because Leon pulled it and then the guy fell.
Yeah.
TJ, are you going to go as far as Adam to say that it's jumped the shark, or is it just maybe it's just not as funny as we wanted it to be.
I will say
Were
this.
our expectations too high?
I feel like this past episode was as funny of an episode as
Agreed.
it's been all
And that's
season.
kind of what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
And so if it means that season starts off slow and it's going to end strong, I'm all for that too. That's also another way to look at it. Maybe they're just, chugging along till they get to a certain point. But I feel like, obviously JB Smooth he's the reason I was never in the Curbed before JB Smooth got on the show. And then I went back and rewatched everything, after he joined in season 6 or wherever
Something
it was.
like that, yeah.
He's just, everything that comes out of this dude's mouth is so ridiculous. It just cracks me up. Pronouncing Audacity is Audacity. And then, just a lot of the stuff JB says. Tracy Ullman is a comedic legend, all right, who doesn't get enough credit for how great she is. And her character is just, it's incredibly awkward and uncomfortable to watch her and Larry interact with one another. That fence is coming down, though. I think we all know that.
That whole storyline of Larry, hey, I'm going to date and sleep with the councilwoman I can't stand so she can repeal this law.
So I can get this girl.
So I can get this person who's blackmailing me, his daughter, off of my TV show so it doesn't get canceled because Ted Danson is coming to my house to complain. Like, that whole storyline, like, I'm with you in a way there, Adam, where it's just so absurd that would never happen. It would never happen in this town where crazy stuff happens.
Yeah, and there have been absolute
The audacity.
The audacity. You can't. Yeah, there's certain people, but Leon's right. You can't tell a black woman to move up in line unless. I don't recommend you two ever do it. Now, bald guys, sure. You go tell a bald guy what to do. I'm not, like Leon, I'm not going to tell a bald guy to move, but you guys can tell a bald guy to move. So
I'm also like, I'll just like complain to myself, but I'll do it like maybe so they can hear me, but I'll never actually go up to them and be like, excuse me, tap, tap, tap. Move your ass up 5 feet in line. Like, I would never do that.
But you want to in your head, and that's, I think, Larry's character is he's the person that
does all those.
that does all that stuff.
Larry walking around that house waiting for the party to start. Like, I was like, Larry is so weird. And
to
like,
me,
what
that
is
was
he
the funniest moment. Maybe might have been the funniest moment of the season was them watching Larry just walk
and then him
around,
tucking the sweater in,
just being a true weirdo.
And then him using the Jewish
Jew
card,
card? Like, is that
like,
a thing, Adam, as the lone member of the tribe on the pod here? Is that a thing? Like, you play the Jew card with someone?
No, like I have good good Judar. You know what I mean? Like I can see a Jew. Like I understand. Like there's you can tell somebody's Jewish.
Yeah, right.
But like I don't use it like a Jew card. No, that's not a thing.
Well, to get you out of a very
you out of a
incriminating video,
situation?
you might want to pull that up.
I think it's something to have in your back pocket.
I tried that
will.
once.
I'll keep that.
I tried that once. I had a fake ID back in college.
I was going to say, you tried to play a Jew card?
Not a Jew card, but I had a fake ID in college and was a black guy, obviously. And so I went to a college town in Lancaster, Lancaster or Lancaster, however you say it, Pennsylvania. 2 doormen, 1 white guy, 1 black guy. I got a fake ID. Who am I going to? I'm going to go to the brother. Of course I'm going to go to the brother.
Of course.
He's going to hook me up. Absolutely. So I go up to him with the confidence of a chiseled 6-pack, good-looking man walking down the beach. That's how much confidence I had.
Shirt off.
Walking up to the brother. Yeah, you're just feeling yourself. I hand my man my ID, and I'm like, yo, brother's going to let me in. And he looks at it, and he looks at me, looks at it, and then he proceeds to point out all the differences in the face of the guy. And he's
Did
like,
it not look like you?
no, not at all.
Okay.
We were both, brown skin, but other than that, he was like, well, first of all, his nose is wider than you, and you're a little bit darker than him. And I was like, wow, well, thank you, but okay, so you're not.
So in hindsight, if you had given it to the white guy,
Because he'd have been like, they all look alike.
Yeah.
I made a critical error at that moment. Should have went to the other man, and I went to the brother man, and needless to say,
betrayed you.
I didn't get in. But before we go real quick, I'm going to say
I was
something.
going to say life lessons.
You saw Kevin Love at outside of a bar once. Let me tell you real quick. Back in the early 2000s, used to be a spot called Chauncey's in L.A.
Okay.
All right, Chauncey's on Monday night was the spot. Everyone who was anyone went to this bar in the club and hung out. So what I would do around midnight every Monday is I'd leave our table. I'd go sit outside with my friends who ran the club. Allison Melnick was one of them, and Allison was from New York, and she was a hard ass, man, and Allison didn't take no BS from nobody. I go out there, and all of a sudden, throughout a sea of people, I see a head that is much bigger than the rest of the heads. And I go and I sit down on the stool like I do every Monday, and I see it's Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki standing outside on Yucca Street, right in front of the club. And I say, Allison, you're not going to let them in? And she responds to me, who the hell are they? I was like, yo, that's Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki. They're two of the best players in the NBA. And she replied, Steve who? Dirk Nowitzki? I don't care who they are. They don't play for the Lakers, and they should have been here before midnight. And she wouldn't let them in. And I was just like, I don't know if I ever want to get into a club that will let me in but not let them in. But I was in, so I was cool with it. And that was just my story of two NBA players.
The audacity.
The audacity.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Episode 2 of the Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast. We will see you next week.
Peace.